Welcome back to the deep dive. Our goal here is always to really break down complex academic topics, giving you the core knowledge you need to succeed.
And today, we're tackling a big one, sales management.
Yeah, it's evolving so fast, isn't it? It's not just about, closing deals anymore.
Not at all. It's become this really critical, strategic part of business education. It demands a lot from students, undergrad, postgrad, and faculty, too.
And definitely for those prepping for competitive exams, we're thinking UGC NET, CUET, those kinds of things.
Absolutely. Especially with the NEP 2020 changes, there's this big push for interdisciplinary understanding, critical thinking. You need resources that are structured clearly.
Finding that one resource that connects the classic ideas with the new stuff, like AI and sales, well, that's the challenge.
Really is. Information is everywhere, but pulling it together takes time. Time students, frankly, don't always have.
Which is exactly what today we're focusing our deep dive on this book, Sales Management by Sinha. We're treating it like a map.
A very targeted map.
Right. We're not just summarizing. We want to show you how its structure helps you master your syllabus, and maybe more importantly, how to pull out those key points for exam questions, the tricky scenario-based ones.
Our aim today is really clarity and academic utility. So I want you to walk away understanding the what, sure, but also the why behind these concepts and how they all link together, from OB to digital tech.
Okay, let's unpack this, specifically through the lens of academic utility. You really can't start a management paper without getting the basic definitions right. So let's start there. The sales organization itself. What is it exactly? And why do we seem to need multiple ways to define it?
Well, defining the sales organization sounds simple, but academically, you need to see it's got layers. It depends on your angle. Are you looking at organizational design, logistics, customer relationships?
Okay, so the definition shifts a bit.
It does. And what the Sinha book does well, I think, is it gathers these different perspectives, these academic pillars, before combining them. And recognizing those distinct layers, that's absolutely key for doing well on competitive exams. They often test if you can see those multiple facets.
Okay, so let's break down those pillars. First up, R.R. Still and E.W. Cundiff. What's their angle? Where are they coming from academically?
Still and Cundiff, their lens is very much organizational behavior, OB, and maybe a bit of HRM, human resources.
Okay.
So their definition is all about the people, the social side, the relationships. They see it as a group, right? A group working together towards sales goals, both qualitative and quantitative goals.
And the key thing they emphasize?
It's the relationships. Both the formal ones, the org chart, the job roles, and the informal ones. That's often missed.
The informal ones, like the team culture, how people actually interact day to day.
Exactly. The water cooler chats, the alliances, the unspoken rules. Those often drive things just as much as the formal structure. So if an exam question is about team dynamics or morale, you'd lean on Still and Cundiff.
Got it. People-focused. Now, contrast that with the second view from B. Moser, A. Camper, Key Justin, and J. Frank. Quite a few names there.
Yeah, this perspective is quite different. It's rooted in operations management, things supply chain, distribution channels.
So less about the internal people stuff, more about the structure and getting the product out there.
Precisely. For them, the sales organization is primarily a functional department. Its job, selling the company's products and, crucially, designing and managing the distribution channels.
Okay, so the focus is market access, logistics.
Right. It's about the mechanism. How does the company reach the customer? This view sees the sales org almost like a system for delivery, less like a collection of individuals. If you're writing about channel strategy, this is your go-to definition.
That's a really clear difference, people versus function. And the third pillar, E. Katajameki. This one feels more modern, maybe.
It definitely integrates that modern focus on the whole customer journey. Katajameki looks at it through the customer service lifecycle.
Okay, so what does that entail?
It's broader. They define the sales org as, basically, the entity responsible for the entire spectrum of customer interaction. Pre-sales, the actual sale, and critically after-sales services.
So the relationship doesn't end when the money changes hands?
Not at all. It's a continuous chain of value. This view is fundamental for understanding things like CRM, customer relationship management, which we'll get into later. It's holistic.
Okay, so we have three angles. The social people structure, Still Cundiff, the operational function channel structure, Moser et al., and the customer service continuum, Katajameki. Why is it so vital for, say, a UGC NET student to know all three? Can't they just learn one combined definition?
Well, the academic skill is applying the right layer for the situation. If an exam question gives you a scenario about improving team collaboration, you think still in Cundiff. If it's about optimizing delivery routes, you think Moser. If it's about customer retention, Jamaica comes to mind.
I see.
But for a broader question, like maybe describing the scope of modern sales management, that's where the unified definition comes in. The book synthesizes these three.
Into one robust framework.
Exactly. And understanding that synthesis shows a deeper level of comprehension.
Can you give an example of how using that full unified definition might change how a company operates, like practically?
Sure. Think about something like budgeting, or even how departments collaborate. High-level stuff.
Okay.
If a company only thinks about sales in terms of people, like still in Cundiff, maybe they overspend on sales training but neglect their distribution network. That's a problem.
Right. Or the reverse.
Or the reverse. If they only see sales as a channel function, like Moser at all, they might pour money into logistics but underfund customer support, leading to unhappy customers later.
Which hurts long-term relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The unified definition forces managers to think across all three dimensions.
Yeah.
People, channels, and the full service life cycle. It means the sales manager has to talk to HR, talk to operations, talk to the service team.
So it demands cross-functional thinking.
It does. And for an academic paper or a comprehensive exam answer, explaining that synthesis shows you really get the complexity of the role today. It's not just one thing.
That really clarifies why starting with these layered definitions is so important. It sets the stage for managing the people within that structure. And sales managers, well, they have a unique challenge, don't they? Their team's performance is so visible, often fluctuates. Finding that balance between pushing for results and supporting the team must be tricky.
Exactly. And that brings us right into the psychology of managing sales teams. The book uses a really classic model here, the managerial grid. You often see it attributed to Blake and Mouton. It's figure 3.2 in the text, and it's pretty essential for any OB course.
Okay, the managerial grid. It's that 9x9 grid, right? Let's ground ourselves in what those axes actually represent.
It's simple but powerful. The horizontal axis, the x-axis, measures concern for task, or sometimes called concern for production. It goes from low 1 up to high 9.
And task here isn't just hitting sales numbers, is it?
No, it's broader. It includes things like following procedures, operational efficiency, quality control. Basically, the managers focus on getting the work done, the mechanics of the job. A high score means results and process are paramount.
Okay. And the vertical axis, the y-axis.
That's concern for people. Again, low 1 to high 9. This is about the human element. Employee well-being, building trust, psychological safety, professional growth, job satisfaction. A high score here means the manager believes taking care of people is the way to get results.
Right. Now, the book highlights 5 key points on this grid, A, B, C, D, E. These represent specific leadership styles that students need to know for exams, not just define, but apply. Let's start with the corners. D, which is 9.
Okay, D is the authority-obedience style. Some call it the taskmaster. High concern for task in 9, but very low concern for people at 1.
So results at all costs.
Pretty much. The philosophy is basically, get the job done, people are secondary. The manager gives orders, expects compliance, minimal questions asked. Efficiency is king.
Is that ever actually effective, or is it just seen as, bad management?
Academically, it's seen as unsustainable long-term, especially in sales where you need motivated, thinking people. It can crush morale and doesn't fit with relationship selling at all.
But maybe in a crisis?
Possibly. The source hints it might be needed short-term in very specific extreme situations, like a major safety issue or recall where immediate, strict compliance is vital. But day-to-day, it treats salespeople like cogs in a machine.
Okay. Then the opposite corner, C, that's 1-9.
Right. C is country club management. Low concern for task 1, but high concern for people, 9. This manager focuses on creating a really friendly, comfortable atmosphere. Harmony is key.
Sounds nice, but does work get done?
Well, that's the critique. Morale might be high, but productivity can suffer because the manager avoids conflict, doesn't push hard on targets, maybe overlooks procedures to keep everyone happy. It feels good, but might not perform well.
Then there's A, down in the bottom left corner, 11.
A is impoverished management, low on task 1, low on people 1. This is basically managerial abdication. The manager does the absolute minimum required to not get fired.
Disengaged.
Totally disengaged. They don't coach, don't manage leads, don't advocate for the team. It's just failure through apathy, really.
And E right in the middle at 5-5. That's often seen as the typical compromise, right?
Yeah, E is middle-of-the-road management. A, 5-5. It's about balance, but maybe a mediocre balance. Getting adequate work done while keeping morale just satisfactory.
So no fireworks, but no disasters either.
Exactly. It's pragmatic, maybe even common, but it rarely leads to excellence. It fosters a kind of adequate, perhaps stagnant culture. For exams, if a scenario describes a manager who just meets quota, doesn't rock the boat, doesn't innovate, 5 is probably the intended answer.
Which leaves us with B, the top right corner, 9-9, the ideal.
B is team management. High concern for task, 9, and high concern for people, 9. This is presented as the gold standard, especially for modern sales leadership where you need collaboration and commitment.
Why is it considered the best?
Because it achieves results through committed people. It builds interdependence, a shared sense of purpose. Trust and respect are high, which drives performance. This 9-9 style is what you really need to make complex strategies like, say, partnership selling actually work in practice.
Applying the grid like that, connecting it to sales strategies is really helpful. Okay, let's shift from the manager's behavior to how we motivate the team, specifically around compensation. The book makes a point that seems maybe counterintuitive at first, about salary.
Yes, this is a classic point of confusion for students, and it often comes up in exams. The source is very clear. While salary is obviously part of the total compensation package,
Right.
it's not considered a direct financial incentive.
Okay, hold on. Why not? If I get a big salary, isn't that a huge incentive? Doesn't it provide security, stability? You could link that to Maslow's needs or Hertzberg. Isn't security a motivator?
That's an excellent question, and it gets right at the necessary academic nuance. You're absolutely right that a good salary acts as what Hertzberg called a hygiene factor.
Meaning it prevents dissatisfaction.
Exactly. It meets basic needs, provides security, stops people from being unhappy. If the salary is too low, people will be demotivated no matter how good the bonus scheme is.
Okay. So it's foundational.
It's foundational. But the specific term direct financial incentive is reserved for payments that are variable and directly tied to performance. Things like commissions, bonuses, profit sharing.
Because they change based on results.
Precisely. Their purpose is to motivate extra effort, to drive specific behaviors. They function as Hertzberg's motivator factors. Salary, because it's fixed, you get paid even if you have a bad month, isn't seen as directly driving that incremental performance in the same way.
So the distinction is about fixed costs versus variable rewards intended to spur action.
You've got it. It forces you to think about the purpose of the payment. Is it to provide a stable baseline, or is it to directly reward and encourage specific achievements?
And this links back to the managerial grid too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Think about that 9-9. Team manager. They need to ensure a fair base salary to meet the concern for people dimension, providing that psychological security you mentioned.
Right.
But they also need well-designed variable incentives to drive results and meet the concern for tasks dimension. Relying too heavily on just one or the other can cause problems. Too much variable pay creates anxiety and maybe unethical shortcuts. Too little ignores performance motivation.
Understanding that balance, linking leadership style, motivation theory, and compensation structure, that's the kind of integrated thinking needed for advanced study.
It is, and it leads us nicely into how the actual process of selling has been thought about and theorized over time.
Okay, table 4.2 in the book. This looks like a goldmine for exam prep. It lays out the whole history of selling theories.
It really is a valuable resource. It acts like a ready reckoner, showing the progression from very simple old models to the complex, relationship-focused, tech-driven approaches we see today. Understanding this evolution is key.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. Connecting the history to the future. Let's start at the beginning with the traditional stuff. Part I in the table, hashtag tag 3.1, traditional theories of selling.
Okay, the traditional theories. These are generally seller-centric. The buyer is seen more as someone to be persuaded, less as an active partner. First up is AIDAS theory.
AIDAS. Sounds familiar.
It's a classic. Stands for attention, interest, desire, action, satisfaction. The idea is that the salesperson needs to lead the buyer's mind through this sequence.
Like a mental funnel.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Get their attention, pique their interest, build desire, prompt action, the sale, and then ensure satisfaction afterwards.
It provided a basic structure, but it's quite linear and assumes the seller is largely in control.
Okay. Next is stimulus response theory. This sounds more behavioral.
It is, rooted in behaviorism, like Pavlov's dogs almost. The idea is the salesperson provides the right stimulus, maybe a key feature, a demonstration, a specific phrase.
And gets the desired response, the purchase.
Exactly. It often led to things like canned sales pitches, memorized scripts, because it assumes a predictable buyer reaction and doesn't allow for much flexibility or deep understanding of the buyer's unique situation.
What's the main academic knock on this one?
Its biggest weakness is that it just falls apart in complex sales. If there are multiple decision makers, if the buyer is knowledgeable, if the solution needs tailoring, a simple stimulus response approach is completely inadequate. It really doesn't work for B2B consultative selling.
Right, and the last traditional one listed, right, set of circumstances theory?
This one's a bit different. It basically suggests a sale happens when all the conditions internal to the buyer, external in the market, are perfectly aligned. The circumstances are right.
So it's less about the salesperson's skill and more about timing and context.
To an extent, yes. It acknowledges context is important, but it's a bit deterministic. It doesn't offer much guidance on how the salesperson can actively create those circumstances or overcome obstacles. It's more descriptive than prescriptive.
Okay, so those are the traditional seller-focused models. The big shift, as the book points out, comes when the focus moves to the buyer. Hashtag tag 3.2, modern consultative and collaborative theories.
Exactly. We enter the era where the salesperson becomes more of a diagnostician, a solution provider. This starts with need satisfaction theory and problem-solving theory.
What's the core idea here?
Stop talking at the customer about features. Start listening to them. Identify their real needs, their pain points, their problems, and then position your offering as the solution to that specific problem. It's about diagnosis first, prescription second.
And this gets formalized in consultative selling theory.
Right. Consultative selling takes it a step further. The salesperson needs to be an expert, not just on their own product, but on the client's business. They act like a trusted advisor, helping diagnose issues, offering strategic advice. The product or service is part of a larger solution. It's a much more involved, high-level approach.
Definitely sounds more complex. Now, there's one here that always seems to pop up on exams, needs very specific knowledge. CESPIN theory. Can we break down SPIN-M?
Absolutely. Spin selling, developed by Neil Rackham based on tons of research into actual sales calls, is a very structured approach for handling large, complex sales. It's all about the questions you ask in a specific sequence.
SPIN. What do they stand for?
Okay, S is for situation questions. These are basic fact-finding questions to understand the buyer's current context. What system are you using now? How many people are on your team? You need the background.
Okay, establish the scene. Then P.
P is for problem questions. Now, you probe for difficulties, challenges, dissatisfactions with the current situation. You finding that system a bit slow? Is the cost of maintenance an issue? You're uncovering the pain.
Got it. Situation, then problem. I is next.
I is for implication questions. This is often the most critical step. You take the problem the buyer admitted to, and you explore its consequences, its ramifications. You mentioned the system is slow. How does that impact your team's productivity? Or if maintenance costs are high, what effect does that have on your overall budget?
So you're making the problem feel bigger, more urgent.
Exactly. You're attaching significance and often financial costs to the problem. This builds the value of finding a solution.
And finally, N.
N is for need payoff questions. Now, you get the buyer to articulate the benefit of solving the problem, ideally using your solution. So if you had a system that was 30% faster, how would that help you meet your deadlines? Or what would it mean for your budget if you could cut maintenance costs by half? You focus them on the positive outcome, the value.
Wow, okay. Situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. That sequence, especially understanding how implication questions build urgency, seems really crucial for analyzing sales scenarios and exams.
It absolutely is a powerful framework because it guides the conversation logically towards demonstrating value in complex situations.
Yeah.
And it naturally leads towards longer-term thinking. Hashtag tag 3.3 relationship, behavioral, and psychological theories, IIB and NIC.
Which fits right into the next set of theories focused on relationships.
Right. Once you've solved a problem, you want to build on that. Relationship selling theory and the even more intense partnership selling theory are about moving beyond single transactions.
Towards what?
Towards long-term alliances. Especially in B2B, success isn't just the initial sale. It's managing that account over years, ensuring mutual value, maybe even sharing risks and rewards. It requires that 9-9 team management style we talked about, high trust, high collaboration.
And maintaining that kind of partnership means you really have to understand the buyer, right? Which brings in psychology.
Definitely. Buyer behavior theory bridges sales with marketing and psychology.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the why behind the buy. What are the buyer's internal drivers, personality, motivation, risk tolerance? What are the external influences, their company culture, industry trends, reference groups?
So thinking about things like cognitive dissonance after a purchase, or how different people in the buying center perceive risk.
Exactly. Applying psychological principles to tailor your approach.
Yeah.
And as interactions moved online, that behavior needed a new theory.
Leading to social selling theory.
Right. This acknowledges that a lot of relationship building and credibility establishment now happens digitally, using platforms like LinkedIn, industry forums, maybe even Twitter.
So it's not just about finding leads online.
No, it's much more. It's about sharing valuable content, demonstrating expertise, engaging in relevant conversations, monitoring buyer signals, building trust and familiarity before you even make a direct pitch. Your online presence becomes part of your pre-sales activity.
This whole evolution shows the human side is still central, but it's being increasingly supported, maybe even guided, by technology and data. Hashtag 3.4 technology-driven and ethical theories.
Which brings us to the final group of theories, reflecting current tech applications and ethical considerations. First, data-driven selling theory.
Okay, this sounds very current. What's the core idea?
It's about leveraging data from your CRM, from market intelligence tools, website analytics, wherever, to make smarter sales decisions. Using data to identify the best prospects, understand their likely needs, predict the best time to contact them, and optimize the sales message.
So using analytics to guide the what, when, and who of selling?
Precisely. And adaptive selling theory is kind of the action part of that. It's about the salesperson's ability to change their approach on the fly based on the situation, the buyer's verbal and nonverbal cues, and maybe insights from that data.
So if the data suggests the CFO is focused on ROI, but the conversation reveals the head of engineering is worried about integration.
The adaptive salesperson shifts their focus and language accordingly. It's the sophisticated counterpoint to that rigid old stimulus response model. It requires high levels of skill and real-time analysis.
Makes sense. And finally, we have the ethical dimension, which is rightly getting more focus in business education.
Yes, trust-based selling theory and value-based selling theory. These move beyond just making the sale. Trust-based selling emphasizes that integrity, honesty, transparency, and reliability are the absolute foundation. No manipulation, no hidden agendas. It's about building genuine trust.
And value-based selling.
This focuses on proving, demonstrating, and delivering tangible, measurable value to the customer. Not just talking about features, but showing the actual ROI, the strategic benefit, the cost savings, answering the buyer's core question, what's in it for me, really?
And these ethical approaches, focusing on trust and value, they presumably align best with those long-term partnership goals.
Absolutely. They are essential for building the kind of sustainable, mutually beneficial relationships described in partnership selling theory. And as you mentioned earlier, referencing Table 4.1 in the book, Types of Buyer-Seller Diets, the theory you apply needs to match the relationship type. You wouldn't use a quick transactional approach for a strategic alliance.
That's a crucial link. The theory has to fit the context of the relationship. Wow, it's a comprehensive map of how selling thought has evolved.
It really covers the ground, from the simplest models to the most complex, data-infused, ethical approaches needed today.
And none of the modern stuff, relationship selling, data-driven, adaptive, can really happen without the right technology infrastructure underpinning it all. Which leads us straight to CRM.
It's exactly. CRM, customer relationship management, it's evolved way beyond just being a digital address book. It's now the core infrastructure that enables most of those modern selling theories to actually function at scale.
And for academic purposes, understanding the different types of CRM seems key. They're not all the same.
Not at all. Each type serves a different purpose. The book does a good job classifying them. We should start with the big picture distinction.
Okay, what's that?
It's strategic CRM versus the more functional types. Strategic CRM isn't really software, it's the overall business philosophy.
A mindset.
Right. It's about putting the customer at the center of everything the company does. Focusing on building and maintaining long-term profitable relationships. It guides why you collect customer data and how you prioritize interactions.
Okay, so that's the overarching strategy. Then we get into the actual systems, the how. What's the first functional type?
That would be operational CRM. This is about automating the day-to-day customer-facing processes. Think sales, marketing, and customer service tasks.
And a big part of this for sales teams is SFA.
Yes, Salesforce Automation, SFA, is a major component of operational CRM. These are the tools salespeople use daily. Managing leads and contacts, tracking opportunities through the pipeline, generating quotes, logging calls, scheduling follow-ups, maybe even basic forecasting. It's about efficiency and streamlining the core sales activities.
So operational CRM handles the doing, making the sales process smoother and more consistent.
Precisely.
Hmm.
Then the second functional type is analytical CRM. This is the thinking part.
The data brain, you called it earlier.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Analytical CRM is all about taking the data collected by the operational systems and other sources too, and analyzing it to find insights, patterns, and support better decisions.
What kind of insights are we talking about?
Things like figuring out customer lifetime value, CLV, identifying which customers are most likely to buy again, or conversely, which ones are at risk of leaving churn prediction. It also helps with segmentation, grouping similar customers together for targeted campaigns.
So analytical CRM might tell marketing, hey, customers who bought product X often buy service Y 6 months later.
Exactly. It turns raw data into actionable intelligence. Operational CRM captures the data. Analytical CRM makes sense of it.
Okay, operational is doing, analytical is thinking. What's the third functional type?
That's collaborative CRM. This one is about breaking down silos between departments.
So connecting sales, marketing, service.
And sometimes even external partners, like distributors or support centers.
Hmm.
The goal is to provide a unified view of the customer across all touch points. So if a customer calls sales today and support tomorrow, both agents see the same history and context.
Which prevents that common frustration of having to repeat your story over and over again.
Exactly. It's crucial for a seamless customer experience and for building that trust we talked about. A breakdown here really undermines relationship efforts.
Okay, those are the main functional types: operational, analytical, collaborative, all under the umbrella of strategic CRM. But the book mentions some more specialized applications too, reflecting current trends.
Right, like campaign management CRM. This is closely linked to analytical CRM. It takes the insights about customer segments and helps marketers design, execute, track, and measure targeted campaigns across different channels: email, social media, maybe direct mail.
So it manages the execution of marketing initiatives.
Yeah, often including things like A/B testing different messages to see what works best. Then there's social CRM.
Linking back to social selling theory.
Directly. Social CRM tools integrate information from social media platforms into the customer profile. Monitoring brand mentions, tracking sentiment, identifying influencers, responding to comments or complaints publicly, finding leads based on social activity. It brings that unstructured social data into the formal CRM system.
Turning tweets and posts into usable insights, and for salespeople out in the field.
Mobile CRM is essential. It's simply about ensuring salespeople can access and update CRM information, contacts, opportunities, schedules, product info in real time using their smartphones or tablets.
So they're not waiting until they get back to the office to log calls or check details.
Exactly. Boosts productivity, improves data accuracy because updates are immediate, and just reflects the reality of how many salespeople work today.
Okay, that covers a lot of ground. But we've saved maybe the most talked about and arguably most impactful development for last. Artificial intelligence, AI-driven CRM. This feels like a really hot topic, especially for modern syllabi emphasizing tech.
It absolutely is. AI is transforming CRM from a system of record into a system of intelligence, even a system of prediction.
How so? What does AI actually do within CRM?
Well, it leverages machine learning and other algorithms to do several things. It can automate tasks like lead scoring, not just based on simple rules, but dynamically predicting the likelihood of a lead converting based on complex patterns in their behavior and profile.
So it prioritizes the salesperson's time better.
Much better. It can also provide next best action recommendations. Based on customers' history in similar situations, the AI might suggest to the salesperson, now is the best time to call this prospect, or offer them product Z, or send this specific email template.
Wow, so it's almost coaching the salesperson in real time.
In a way, yes, and it gets deeper. Using things like natural language processing, NLP, AI can analyze the text of emails, chat logs, even transcribe and analyze sales calls.
To do what?
To understand customer sentiment, are they happy, frustrated, confused? It can flag customers who might be at risk of churning based on the language they're using, allowing proactive intervention. It can help personalize communication at scale.
This really connects everything. The AI uses data from operational and social CRM, analyzed perhaps using analytical techniques, to provide adaptive recommendations supporting collaborative goals.
You've nailed it. AI-driven CRM is the synthesis. Its ability to personalize supports adaptive selling. Its predictive power informs strategic CRM choices. Its automation enhances operational efficiency. Understanding AI's role prediction, automation, personalization is absolutely crucial for anyone studying modern sales management or taking related exams.
It really underscores how tech-infused the field has become. Okay, we've covered a huge amount. Defining the organization, looking at leadership styles, tracing the evolution of selling theories, and mapping the CRM tech landscape. Let's pull this all together now and focus squarely on why this matters for the listener's academic journey.
Right. So thinking about the book itself, its real academic contribution, I think, lies in its structure. The way it clearly separates the core concepts, those definitions, the managerial grid, the theories in that table, the CRM types.
It creates distinct modules, almost.
Exactly. That modular structure is incredibly helpful for students trying to learn this material systematically. It aligns perfectly with how university courses are often structured. You might have a module on OB in sales, another on sales technology.
And you can go straight to the relevant section in the book. It tackles that problem of information being scattered across different sources.
It really does streamline the study process, and for exam prep, it's invaluable. Take that table of selling theories, table 4.2.
We spent a lot of time on that.
For good reason. If you get an objective question or a short answer question asking you to, say, compare traditional ADAs with modern consultative selling,
Having them laid out clearly, categorized, makes it much easier to recall the key differences and structure your answer.
precisely, it's a mental map for quick recall under pressure. It also helps with longer essay questions.
How so?
Well, imagine an essay asking about the future of sales management. A student could use the book's structure as a framework for their argument. Start with the evolving definition of the sales org, discuss the ideal leadership needed, ground it in relationship and value-based selling theories, and then argue that AI-driven CRM is the key enabler.
It provides a logical flow for a rigorous argument.
It does. And that rigor comes from the author's approach. It's clear Sinha is focused on synthesis, bringing together insights from multiple established sources like Still and Cundiff for definitions, Blake and Mouton for the grid, Rackham for his spin, etc., into one coherent text.
So, saving the student the effort of tracking down and comparing all those original sources themselves.
Which is a huge time saver and reduces confusion. The academic tone is consistent, it's comprehensive.
And this breadth, covering everything from foundational definitions right up to AI applications, must be useful for faculty too.
Immensely. Faculty need texts that are current and academically sound, including topics like social CRM, adaptive selling, AI-driven CRM, ensures the course content is relevant, aligns with industry needs, and meets expectations around technology integration, like those outlined in NEP 2020.
And for researchers.
The clear segmentation provides obvious starting points for deeper investigation. If someone wants to research ethical selling, they've got trust-based and value-based theories clearly defined. If they're interested in AI's impact, the AI CRM section gives them a solid foundation.
So ultimately, the book's structure and comprehensive content work together to make a complex, fast-moving subject more digestible and easier to master for academic purposes.
That's the key takeaway, I think. It's designed for efficient learning and effective application, whether that's in coursework or high-stakes exams. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground today. We started with why defining the sales organization isn't simple, needing those people, function, and service perspectives. We dove into the managerial grid and how leadership style impacts everything.
Especially that crucial 9 style.
Right. Then we charted the entire evolution of selling theories from the old ADAS model right through to complex approaches like spin, relationship selling, and the crucial role of data and AI.
And we mapped out the modern CRM ecosystem, from the basic types like operational and analytical, right up to AI-driven platforms.
So what does this all mean? If you're a student, a teacher, maybe you're a researcher listening in, what's the bottom line?
The bottom line is that understanding this material, as structured in a resource like the Sinha book, gives you the tools you need. It provides that conceptual clarity, the organized map of theories, and the insights into current technology like AI CRM.
Which are all essential for mastering the subject in today's academic environment.
Absolutely. And for succeeding in those competitive exams, it aims to take the stress out of finding and organizing disparate information by offering a unified, academically solid framework.
It's like an academic toolkit for sales management.
It's a pretty comprehensive one.
Okay, before we finish, let's leave our listeners with something to think about. A final provocative thought. We talked quite a bit about that distinction between fixed salary, the hygiene factor, providing security and variable incentives, the motivator, driving performance.
The fixed versus performance-based pay.
Right. Now, In this world we've just described, increasingly dominated by data-driven selling and AI-driven CRM, where the algorithm is getting better and better at predicting success, optimizing efforts, even telling salespeople the next best action.
Where the AI itself is becoming a major driver of performance outcomes.
Exactly. How might our definition of performance for the human salesperson evolve? And what happens to that crucial distinction between salary and incentive? Will the line become even sharper, with incentives rewarding uniquely human skills like complex relationship building or adapting to unforeseen circumstances?
Or could it be that as AI makes performance more predictable, more attributable to the system, that the line starts to blur? Will the distinction between baseline expectation covered by salary and exceptional human-driven effort rewarded by incentives become harder to define?
That's the question, isn't it? How do we value and compensate human sales effort when AI plays such a huge role?
That's definitely a strategic challenge and probably a research question for the next generation of sales management. Something to mull over.